how were the Lego sets missing?
It's kind of being debated how much the Lego sets are actually worth, and he already got paid out $17,000 from the previous owner, so he wasn't owed $200,000, but that's just an easy number to use. But he puts his Lego sets in the store, and the store didn't have enough money to buy them from him, so they said, let's do a consignment. So they're still your Lego sets, but every time one gets sold, you keep like 70% or whatever, how much percent they're giving him, and we'll keep like the other percent, as a thank you for like selling them for us. And so it's working out fine. He already got paid $17,000 in this, so every time sets would get sold, he'd get the majority of the money, they keep a small amount. But then corporate comes over and takes over the store for whatever reason. That's not really any of Brian's or my business. I guess there was a business dispute that's completely unrelated. So they take over the store, and they said everything in the store is now ours, including these sets that weren't the store's to give him. It'd be similar if I parked my car in their parking lot. Like, they don't just get my car. Like, it's not their
they
car.
sell
it's my car. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So his Legos are kind of like, car parked in the parking lot. Like, they don't just get his Legos, but they're claiming they do. So when he shows up, he's like, hey, can I have my Legos back? And they say, no, these are our Legos now. This is our inventory. And he's like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, he's like, I have this contract. And like, well, we're not a part of this contract. In order for us to be under agreement, we have to sign something. And we didn't sign this contract. So we don't have to listen. We don't have to follow the contract because we didn't sign it. But what they are failing to understand is when they take over the business, they take over any of the agreements that are in the business, including that contract. So since they took over the business, they're taking over that contract now, which their response to that is, well, if you want your Legos back, you can sue us. But by suing us, you'll spend more money on court than your collection's even worth, and you'll just lose money. So you'll lose time, money. It'd be much easier if you just let us keep the Lego sets. And that's where he was at.
And why did this video then break the internet if it seems like it's just someone stealing Lego?
I think because of the last sentence I just said. So the corporation says, we know we're in the wrong, but we can get away with this because we have money and you don't. And I think people are tired of like big corporations like hurting the little guy. It's like the punching down. People hate that. And so I basically went to Brian. I was like, hey, you know what? We're going to stand up to this company and show them that the little guy can't get bullied anymore, And I didn't do it from like a Mr. Beast perspective where it was like, okay, we're going to like pour all this money and like do all this like stuff. Cause then it wouldn't have had the impact of like the little guy standing up to the big guy. Like, I did it from the story of, okay, we have no resources. How can we use our creativity to take down this big company, And it kind of really relates to people that like don't have resources and can't stand up. And so I think the message is really like, if you're creative and if you like really put your mind into it, you can stand up to the big guy. You just have to like be creative and like make a voice,
Speaking how the little guy can win, me being a little guy, I suppose, I tried to find out if any public company had interest in bricks and minifigs so I could short it, and I couldn't find it.
We were joking about that right before we posted the video. Yeah, it's not publicly traded.
I wanted to do like a Chris Camillo social arbitrage trade, and I'm like aware of all this information. This company is getting hit with like, they have to spend all this money on lawsuits. They're getting all this negative press. I'm like, I can short this company and make a lot of money. No, there's no public interest.
Yeah, we were definitely joking about that right before we posted the video. We actually looked it up, and then we were very disappointed when we saw that there was. I've never like invested in stocks or anything my entire life, but this would
change that.
Yeah,
at the end of this episode, we're going to change that.
Dang. Yeah, I've never like invested in anything. I invested I think $20 in Bitcoin like right when it started, and it turned to like $500, I think. But that's the only time I ever. I was like, oh,
that didn't make you want to invest more, like 20xing your money.
I probably should have. Yeah, I don't know. I just I just like spending all my money on videos. Like, I don't have money to invest. All my money I just put right back into the videos.
How much do you spend per video?
Not a lot. I think there was like a less than two. It was like we spent gas money to get up there. That was the biggest expense, and then the Airbnb and hotels, and then food. That's about it. I bought like maybe like $400 of Lego props. Like, we brought like the Lego costume. We bought some like Lego like. Maybe like, I'd say like probably $2,000 budget maybe for that whole video.
Now, when you were filming this, was there any moment where you thought maybe I could be wrong?
Well, yeah, of course. That's why I went and heard their side, I feel like I'm just documenting my experience. So I can't be wrong in my experience. So I'm like, okay, I heard Brian's side of the story. And I'm like, okay, Brian could be wrong, so let me hear their side. So I go to their store. Then they call the cops on me and they're like, leave, leave, leave. So there's nothing wrong, and I'm just like, here's what happened. I'm just here to share my experience, and I'm not wrong in sharing my experience. So
what do you think is the biggest misconception people have about this story?
I don't know. There's the spy glasses. It has the wrong timestamp at the bottom. It's like 2019. So a lot of the reaction channels watching it, they're like, he's been working on this for 7 years. Like, what the heck? Like, this is insane. I'm like, no, and then they're like this, and then it'll be like 2020, and we use like 6 or 7 different pairs of spy glasses. They all have different dates at the bottom, so it looks like we filmed it over like 6 years or something, but we really filmed it in like 4 or 5 days. I don't know, I'm trying to think of the biggest misconception, like storyline wise. I don't know. I just tried to be like, hey, like we went in and just tried legal stuff. We're like, I don't know if this is gonna work or not. Let's just try it, and we just did it, and we just shared our experience, I guess. Okay, the biggest misconception I think is everyone the entire time is saying like, get a lawyer, get a lawyer.
Yeah.
Like if you had a lawyer, you would have solved this immediately. Well, first off, Brian's wife is actually an attorney, so we did have a lawyer with us the entire time. And most of the ideas we would pitch to her, she's like, that's the worst idea I've ever heard. And we're like, sick. That means it's going to be awesome, Because I've always thought that like the ideas lawyers gives are like really boring. But at the same time, we wanted to do it from the perspective of someone who doesn't have resources for a lawyer, And because a lot of people, like, say I just like threw like $50,000 of this video and we did it like the right way and we got the Legos back like easy, then the people watching at home are like, oh, well, he could have only pulled that off because he has money, And it's not like inspiring me to like stand up to my bully, So I wanted to do it from like the point, like from the perspective of someone who literally has nothing, That way, when you watch my video, it's like, there's no excuse. Like, if I can do it, you can do it. Like, go out. I want it to be inspiring for people, Like, if I could do this with literally nothing, you can stand up to your bully. You can stand up to the person pushing you around. And
so how did it go from something as simple as just standing up to your bully and like wanting to make something right? Some guy had his Legos stolen. You just want to return his Legos, to you then being, what would you call, like, charged with 6 crimes?
Now, I gotta say, one thing that I've noticed by talking to a lot of entrepreneurs is that all of them want to use AI, but they don't know how it'll actually work inside their business. Like, it's one thing to use AI to write an email, but it's another to have it handle incoming calls, set appointments, answer questions, and talk to customers in real time.
And that's where today's sponsor, 11 Agents by 11 Labs, comes in. It's a platform that lets businesses build real-time AI voice agents for sales, support, operations, inbound calls, and more.
What's really impressive is just how fast it is to set up. You could launch voice agents in minutes, and they could speak in over 70 languages. Here's an example.
¿Podrías decirme qué tipo de ayuda necesitas?
It also works with tools businesses already use like Salesforce, HubSpot, Zendesk, Google Calendar, and Twilio. So instead of having to change up your entire workflow, it fits right into the systems that you already have.
And you could train these agents using your own knowledge base, SOPs, and policies. That way, the responses seem consistent within your business instead of just sounding generic.
Plus, with expressive mode, they give you way more control over the tone and delivery, so the conversations sound way more natural and human.
So try out 11 Agents by going to 11labs.io/iced coffee hour to get started today for free. Again, that link is down below in the description. Thank you so much. Now let's get back to the episode.
So how did it go from something as simple as just standing up to your bully and like wanting to make something right? Some guy had his Legos stolen. You just want to return his Legos, to you then being, what would you call, like, charged with 6 crimes? Like, how did bridge that gap? Because I'm sure a lot of people wondering are.
So at the end of the first video, I wasn't charged with anything. We were just having fun. I guess the cops were kind of, which makes sense. Like, at the end of the day, it is a civil matter, and the cops really aren't supposed to get involved. The cops were kind of being dicks, but I talked to the chief of police afterwards, and he said that the police messed up. They were given false information and wrote false information in the police report. And since the police were going off the information in the police report, they were going off false information, didn't know the whole story. So they apologized for that, and they gave me like a personal apology, which I really respected. And then it wasn't until we went to Utah where things started getting crazy. And I think this is once they found. So the whole first video, they just thought I was some kid. Like, I remember the phone call, he's like, "Are you just some kid? Like, this isn't how the world works. Like, you're just some." He's like, "Are you young?" So they just thought I was some like stupid idiot that they could like bully around. And then in the second video, I think this is when they find out on my YouTube channel, because when we did the lawsuit, I had to like put all my information in the lawsuit, and so I think they were like, "Let's look this kid up," and they found my YouTube channel. So they're like, okay, this guy's doing a video on us, and that's bad. So let's make up reasons to get him arrested, is what I think they were trying to do. Because why else would they be acting like this? So I think they're just making up reasons to get me thrown in jail. Because their logic is, if I'm in jail, I can't release my documentary, and then they get away with their crimes.
So it originated in Oregon. That's where this whole
The store,
original,
yes.
the store was that stole the Lego. And then you went down to Utah because that's where
They closed the store, yeah.
Yeah,
and that's where the owners live.
They closed the store, and that's where they live. And so you're effectively trying to create a lawsuit because you couldn't sue for this exact infraction because the store was closed or whatever. So you try to create a secondary lawsuit of other people having their Lego stolen on consignment from the same owner. It's a little bit complicated, just trying to understand.
Well, that's the whole point, it's like we're trying to make it confusing, and if it confuses you, it probably confuses them, and if they're confused, then we win and we get the Legos back.
And so you went all the way over to Utah, and then this is where the problems really started happening, because that's when they started charging you with like stalking and this and that. And I'm curious, because Graham actually had an interesting opinion on this. He said that there's actually a fair argument to be made of like, okay, this could be cyber stalking or like in-person stalking. I want to hear what your opinion is on the matter.
Yeah, see, I was thinking if the roles were reversed and some YouTuber comes to you, would you think this is brave journalism, or would you think it borders harassment? And I was...
Did I steal old man's collection and bully him?
I think there's an argument to be made, because I'm on your side here, but I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. I think there is an argument to be made that this guy did take over the store. The prior owner has really poor record keeping.
Yeah.
A lot of this you can't prove without forensic accounting, and anything he says is going to be used against him in a lawsuit. That it's best for him to just shut up and let the legal system kind of work through its thing. I think it was really irresponsible for him to say anything and to make any threats or like anything.
It was great.
He should have.
It was amazing that, because most people do just shut up, and he just kept talking.
He was the one making threats to you. You made no threats to him.
So I think he was an idiot, but I also think there is an out there that he could say, listen, the prior owner, I had no idea what's going on with this. Bring me, some sort of civil action or something. But until then, I'm out of it. I don't know what's going on. The prior owner, they're a mess. And leave it at that. And then maybe it wouldn't have gone to such an extreme.
Yeah, but at the same time, also, like the prior owner, she gave us pictures of all of the Lego sets in the store still when they were kicking her out. So there was proof that at least a bunch of these Lego sets were still in the store. And so, and he said, like, you guys can have them back, and then when we show up, they just try to call the cops on us. So, like, if it was truly the previous owner, like I cut a lot of this out of the video because I thought it was kind of boring and it didn't really lead to anything. But there's a lot of parts in the video where I'm trying to team up with him. I'm like, hey, let's, if you're saying the previous owner stole these sets, let's team up together and get the previous owner. But right now, she's sending me a bunch of pictures of these Lego sets still in the store with the metadata timestamps on them. So it seems like you guys took the set. You know?
We're skipping ahead a little bit, but I saw in the CoffeeZilla video, the prior owner did admit that there is a chance of sloppy record keeping. That
she might have stole some too. I think there's a equal chance that the previous owner stole some and the new owner stole some. But
I tend to think, just from my own opinion here, that it's maybe not theft, but really just irresponsible placement, record keeping. You probably have employees who are in there.
Yeah.
Sets get misplaced. Sets are sold, not recorded. Money goes elsewhere. And it's not maybe intentionally trying to steal money, but it's just, these are people who maybe weren't the best business people.
That's what the previous owner seems like. And it seems like, so her response to this is, because I've asked her, I try to be equal with both sides, the Bricks and Minifigs and Crystal. And so when I asked Crystal that, her response is, yeah, maybe I did underpay Brian for some of the sets we sold. But when I ask, I was kicked out of my store without warning, and I lost all my inventories. I lost all the record bookkeepings and stuff. And when I ask for that back so I can see how much like I underpaid Brian, they won't give it to me. And they said I can sue them for it, but that's the only way I'll ever get it. And so it seems like she wants to make it right for if she did underpay Brian, but Bricks and Minifigs won't give her the inventory to let her do that.
But just the fact that she would underpay Brian tells me right off the bat, I don't trust her numbers. I don't trust her accounting. I don't trust anything.
Yeah, I want to make that clear too. Is she could be just as bad as Bricks and Minifigs in this situation. You know, like I think she could be just as.
I think that there is a pretty big difference, though. One is hiding behind like the courts, and one person is willing to have a conversation with you whenever you.
Yeah, but she's open and she's willing to like say, "Hey, I'm here's all the evidence I have. Here's everything. Like, let's work through this together." And she's always been open to trying solving this. And then Bricks and Minifigs just calls the cops on me every time I try to solve it with them.